All right, you're watching the Power Hour. I'm your host, DJ Larry Jones, and I have the very, very amazingly talented Lisa St. Lou. Lisa, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well.
You look great.
Thank you, thank you. I try. You look wonderful.
I've got my work clothes on, ready to
That,
work
yeah.
24/7, babe.
Now you're working. You're working in Paris. You're in Paris right now, and
I'm
is
in
that a
Paris
vac?
right now.
vac-
We decided to move here for a year.
Oh, okay, okay. How's it going?
It's going slowly.
Now, can you speak the language?
Ouais, je peux parler en français. Et si vous voulez parler avec moi, on peut parler ensemble.
S'il vous plaît. All right, let's get into your music. Now,
Okay.
you, you have
That
a
went well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that went very well. See, you didn't know I was bilingual, right?
Yeah, you killed it. You killed it. You're supposed to the typical response is voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
That's from the song too, right? Is that
That's
what they
right.
said? Now, what does that actually mean?
Will you sleep with me tonight? Do you want to sleep with me tonight? That's what it literally means
Well,
that.
well, I should have asked that question. So, all right. So now let's talk about your project, music,
All
right?
about the music.
Yeah. Now you have a project out.
I do. I do. It's called Oh Dang.
Where'd that title come from?
It's a sliver of a lyric from the song 1983. I originally was going to name the whole album 1983, but it's not an 80s album.
Right.
So, it gives a different message. And there's a fun line in it. Like we just think, oh, dang, playing an air guitar, and then that whole statement feels like it encapsulated the entire album instead of it being 80s. So we just named it Oh Dang because it felt more Silk Sonic-y and fun. And, that's sort of the vibe we had when we were going into writing this thing. And that's where we ended up.
I love it. I love it. Now you have a very soulful voice. Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
What, what type of music did you listen to coming up?
I came up, of course I listened to Tina Turner. I mean, that to me, my mom played that I Can Tina album down in my basement every weekend when she cleaned the house. And I don't think I've ever heard anything more powerful or transcending than the voice of that woman, to be honest. I mean, okay, Aretha, but and maybe Whitney. All right, we'll just keep calling them out.
Keep it going,
So
right?
those three were my top faves, and then then Mariah Carey came along, and I got a little confused,
Yeah.
and then and then we moved on to Winehouse. So yeah, that's pretty much what the gist of what inspired me. And I don't know what makes people sing the way they sing. I guess it's just, what you have to work with and what inspires you. And so then whatever gets in there comes out. And that's sort of how it all happened.
Yeah. Now, I watched a snippet of your video. What is that? In Times Square?
Yeah, that
Now,
was.
I have to ask you this. Now, was that because the look on your face looked like it wasn't staged? When
None
Mickey
of that was
Mouse came,
staged.
see, and when Mickey Mouse came out of what went through your mind? Because the look in your face was like, would you get out of here?
It was, look, we're doing everything running and gunning, right? Like we started this running and gunning video shoot stuff during COVID, and that's how we do it. It's we get to do more that way because it's less of a production. We kind of get away with a lot more things because otherwise, you have to alert the city and pay for licenses. But we were standing there, and it was just, we needed B-roll, and we needed, other takes and other looks for the rest of the video. And we knew we were coming to Paris, and we had to get all this. Can I cuss on this show?
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta get all this shit done before we left. So we're standing in Times Square, and I'm, I've got like my earbuds in, but you can't hear it, you can't see them, and I'm lip syncing, but I'm singing. I have to sing a little, so he knows where to find it, later on the video. And here comes Elmo.
Yeah. And that's exactly how they do it when you're in New York. They run up to you, they want, it's like, okay, and then you take a picture with them, and then they say, give me money for it.
Right. Well, we got a whole video with them, and we paid nothing for it. But when I saw Minnie Mouse, I mean, the Elmo thing was like peripheral, and I saw something weird going on over here, and then he was gone, and then here comes Minnie, and it was bizarre, and it was such a wonderful accident because it
worked.
Yeah, totally worked.
It worked. It definitely worked. Now, how would you describe the vibe and style of your album, your project?
I feel like this album, if I could compare it to something, it would be more of the Silk Sonic kind of I'm gonna leave the door open sort of vibe. I mean, not every song is like that, but when we wrote let me back this up. We wrote these songs a couple years ago, not all of them. And we had an idea about what we were going to do with them. We literally went in the studio in February and recorded it with an entire band. And we got back, and it was good. It was good. We got back at home and listened to it back, and I'm like, it's not modern. It doesn't feel like it's living and breathing joy and fun and now. And I already did Ain't No Good Man. Ain't No Good Man was my first soul album because I've done a bunch of other kinds of, stuff. But this was, that was my like breakout soul album. And I did that with some great guest stars on it. Walter Wolfman Washington, who recently passed, God bless him. And Miss Irma Thomas, who is the soul queen of New Orleans, and Cyril Neville. Like, it was legit, like, it was happening, but that was old school vibe, super supposed to be like that. Right. And this wasn't. And I felt like I could have done that again, but I don't think any artist wants to do what they've already done. Not if you really want to evolve. So we just both looked at my partner, Tor, and I looked at each other and we're like, we got to redo it.
Yeah. So when you look back at your previous project and this one, what's the growth like? Can you hear and see the growth?
Yeah, man. Like, it's okay. I had to grow on the first one. I had the voice, it's all there, but there are certain songs that you got to push yourself to the next level. You've got to find that sound. You've got to like open up wider. You've got to get over that note a little harder, and you've got to feel something different. I did that in a couple of songs with Ain't No Good Man, and that, I stretched myself and I felt like I really grew from that. But this was a whole other level. I mean, this was like finding a completely different register, really, but not, it was also finding the fun and the joy. It wasn't all about, oh, I'm so pissed off at this man and I'm going to get it all out on that album. This is like the other side of that. And I had to dig deep into making that express through the voice, because if you don't, then what are you doing? If it's not laid out on that MP4 or MP3, then nobody's going to feel that shit. So I do believe that I did grow emotionally into the work, and I also was able to find a different level of joy, which I've never quite done before. It was great. It was fun.
Right. Now, in that song, "Ain't No Good Man," was there a particular guy you were thinking or speaking about? If so, can we get into it? Let's talk about it.
I can get into it. It was well, I just come off of a divorce, and it wasn't, a nice divorce, like most aren't. And then I met I thought was the perfect guy, and he still is, but he did something kind of, not great, and I was like, well, I guess there really isn't a good man. I guess it doesn't exist. And I had a moment, and something very Sam Cooke came out. Very Sam. I was like, it started out high, like, ain't no good man, but then it morphed into something else. That's so that's how it began. It began on a plane with that in my head, and then I started writing the lyrics out, and that man and I are still together. It's fine. We worked it out. To him. Everybody messes up. We worked it out.
Big shout out to him. Now, is he in the music business?
He is. He's been producing records. He's produced over 50 records. Joan Osborne. Gosh, so many. So there's just been so many. Edwin McCain. Isaac Hayes. He's done a ton of producing. He used to be a producer in Lollapalooza, and we got together and started writing for the theater, and then that morphed into soul and pop and all the things we do now. So
nice. Now, do you guys? What is your writing process like? Do you write together with him, or? We do.
I can't sit down at a piano and be like, I'm good, because I suck. He's an incredible piano player. He sits down and does most of the chord making, but I have the melodies. Sometimes he has a melody, but we work together on that. Sometimes it's just a bass line that comes up, and we're like, oh, I love that. And then I hear something, and I go, oh, that sounds like, da, na, 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 you know. And then we vibe off that, and then all of a sudden, what's the song going to be about? And then we go from there, and then we have to, you know, figure out what the story is.
Right. Now, out of all of the songs that you've put out there, which one is your most favorite?
Oh man, Larry.
So many, right?
Why you gotta ask that question?
I gotta get you there. Gotta get you there.
I don't even. How dare you? That is like sacrilegious, man. Like,
and I know they're all your babies, but it has to be one that you say, you know what, that one right there gets me.
God damn it! I don't know. You know, you should prepare a girl for things like this.
I know, right? It's okay.
Oh my God.
But that says something. That says something for you, because I mean, you know, if you can't say, that means they're all mean something to you.
I have to tell you, I really just cannot tell you that there's one that stands out that's my favorite. I mean, I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot.
No, that's a good thing, though. You know what I mean? Is there any collaborations? So anyone else on here with you, or?
We do. We have Brian Vander Ark from the Verve Pipe. He's singing one duet with me. He's so he's guesting on that. It's called Soul Thing. It's super groovy and very summer like bopping, and yeah, he came on that as a blue-eyed soul guy. So it was fun to have him, and that's it. That we don't have any like standout stars that you would recognize.
No, yeah. I mean, the behind-the-scenes guys, they're the best anyway, right?
Dude, this album would be nothing without these guys. We found our drummer who was messing around, just like, well, we have two different drummers because, like I said, we went to the studio and recorded the whole album, and then we went back in and rewrote the whole thing. So some of the drums from the original studio recording are from one guy, and then we had a different guitarist on that but he lives in London. So then we had to get another guy, Joe Ayub, who's amazing. He's the bass player on American Idol, and we were trying to find the drummer. Our drummer got hurt. He couldn't re-record anything for us. So we found a guy that Tor used to know who is on the Brazilian Girls. And he did this whole thing on did this whole Anderson .Paak sort of groove. And he was just killing it. And like, let's ask him if he'll do it. We might not be able to afford him, but let's ask. And then he did it. And Aaron Johnson's his name. And he just nailed the drums. Wow. Like it was magical. It was just magical all the way around. Everybody, from every tiny thing, even getting the mic, borrowing a microphone from someone who said, just take it to your home studio and just use it, because I couldn't be spending $8,000 on the best mic. So
yeah those mics can get pretty expensive, right? Jeez Louise.
They can
yeah. Now, where did you record the album? Was it in New York? Are you from New York originally? Or?
Yeah. I have a place in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So we built a little like sound studio out back with what used to be a garage. I had it converted into a studio, and we do a lot of our work there. But we decided to take this little adventure to France because France loves soul music.
Yeah, they do.
And this album needs to be celebrated. And New York's great, but it's tough, man. It's a tough city. I've been there 25 years. I think we both just needed something new and something completely different. And we took the opportunity to come here and work the album and get gigs and hopefully expand here in Europe. And then we'll come back. See what happens.
Now, how's gigging out there in France? Is it you're gigging a lot?
It's cool. We just got here, so I can't say that we're gigging. We have a couple of gigs lined up. We have one in Hamburg, Germany, coming up in January, and we have some clubs here that we're going to play, like Au Trois Maillet, which is a very famous joint. Nina Simone played there when she was here in the 50s, and it's a classic French cabaret spot that has been around forever. Wow. And it's such a great. And they've got these caves. There's little spots like this all over Paris where there's these like caves that have been there for 1,000 years or maybe 500. Like Hitler hung out and like the Nazis planned stuff in the basements in these places. Like it's so creepy. It's creepy, but also
but it's so historical.
There's so much history.
Yeah. Now I can imagine the footage you can get, the visuals you're going to get creating, videos and just even social media posts. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. We did a bunch of stuff here a couple years ago when I did a French album, completely in French. It's jazz. It was so much fun to do. And we did a bunch of running and gunning in Paris. And it was, we had a blast, and they don't care. They're just, gigging here is different. You can just call people up or just go to these places and say, hey, look me up. I don't suck. We want to play here. And then there's like, come and do it. And people will just throw some money in a bucket and you have fun. Like, wow. It's really cool to do that because you really connect with people that want to hear your shit. Yeah. It's just so, it's fantastic. And it's just a completely different vibe here.
Right. Now, when people go out and purchase your album, what do you want them to walk away with?
I want them to walk away with, first of all, I want them to feel the joy that's in it. I hope that conveys pretty clearly. I hope that gets across. So I want them to walk with joy, hope, and I hope that they can laugh a little at it because there's some jokes in there and there's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek wink. So I hope that they can smile while they're listening.
Right. That's good. I can't wait to hear it. The full project.
What do you mean? You haven't heard it yet?
No, some of it. You know what I've done?
Come on, Larry,
I've went and I listened to some of your old stuff as well as some of the new stuff. So
you're doing your homework. I get it. Everybody's got stuff to do. You can't be all hanging out, listening to Elf, not doing anything else.
No, but here's the thing. That's why, before we got on the air, I mentioned finances. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say it on air. That's why I was doing homework. That's why I came up with finance. Weird, right?
That's weird.
I went Jacques Cousteau on that one, right? I
went pretty deep. Did a deep dive, didn't you? He went deep.
Yeah, almost like the CIA covert operation, right? But indeed. Listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're running out of time. Look, much success. Man,
thank you. This is so much fun.
It's so much fun, right? Enjoy. Please send me pictures from out there in Paris, and much success to you. And don't be a stranger. You're always welcome.
I won't. Thank you. And I'll plug this and let everybody know that we were on together. And I appreciate you, man.
All right. You're watching the Power Hour right here. I'm your host, DJ Larry Jones, along with Lisa St. Lou.